The great crystal towers of Nexus Prime stretched into the purple sky like frozen lightning. Inside the tallest tower, the Galactic Council met to decide the fate of worlds. Admiral Quan sat at the massive oval table, his scaled fingers tapping against the smooth surface. Around him, representatives from dozens of alien species talked in hushed voices. Quan had commanded the Draconian fleet for 40 years. His ships had conquered more star systems than any other admiral in Council history. The sight of his black and gold warships was enough to make entire civilizations surrender without firing a shot. Today felt different, though. The Council seemed nervous about something. Commander Yuna walked into the chamber carrying a data pad. Her blue skin gleamed under the artificial lights as she approached the table. She commanded the Serpentine Navy, the second most powerful fleet in Council space. When she spoke, everyone listened. "The survey of the Orion Arm is complete," Yuna announced. Her voice echoed in the huge chamber. "We found 17 inhabited worlds. 16 have already agreed to join the Council. 1 remains." Council leader Day leaned forward in his chair. His ancient face showed interest for the first time in months. The Council had been expanding for 3,000 years. Very few species ever refused to join when asked nicely. Those who did refuse never lasted long. "Tell us about this stubborn species," Day said. His voice was calm, but everyone knew he could order the destruction of entire planets with a single word. Yuna activated her data pad. A holographic image appeared above the table, showing a small blue and green planet. The species calls themselves humans. They live on a world called Earth in a system they named Sol. The planet has 1 natural satellite and supports about 8 billion of their kind. Admiral Quan studied the image. The planet looked peaceful. White clouds swirled over blue, oceans and brown continents. It reminded him of a dozen other worlds his fleet had claimed for the Council. "What is their technology level?" "Primitive," Yuna replied. "They have achieved space flight, but barely. A few small stations orbit their world, some basic mining, operations on their moon, and a few nearby asteroids. They use chemical rockets and simple fusion drives. Their weapons technology appears to be kinetic projectiles and basic energy systems." Several Council members laughed. Chemical rockets were technology most species abandoned thousands of years ago. The idea that such primitives would resist the Council seemed impossible. "Have they been contacted?" Day asked. "Not yet," Yuna said. "Our long-range observers report they are aware other intelligent life exists. They search the stars with primitive radio telescopes and have sent several unmanned probes to nearby systems. But they have never encountered another spacefaring civilization." Admiral Quan smiled. First contact with primitive species usually went the same way. The aliens would be amazed by superior technology. They would realize resistance was impossible. Within days, sometimes hours, they would beg to join the Council. It was almost boring how predictable it was. "What resources does their system contain?" asked General Wei, commander of the Council's ground forces. Yuna scrolled through her data. Nothing special. Standard metal deposits on the rocky planets, some ice on the outer worlds. Their star is stable but unremarkable. The system has no strategic value beyond its location. Location? Day's interest sharpened. Earth sits near several major hyperspace routes, Yuna explained. Control of their system would give us a staging point for expansion into the outer spiral arm. But the location is useful, not essential. Admiral Quan nodded. The Council had conquered systems for less. Sometimes they took worlds simply to deny them to potential enemies. The galaxy was a dangerous place. It was better to control everything than leave loose ends. "What is their military capability?" Quan asked. Yuna hesitated for a moment. "Difficult to assess precisely. They appear to have no unified planetary government. Multiple nation-states maintain separate military forces. Most of their weapons are designed for fighting each other, rather than space combat. They have no interstellar warships that our observers could detect." "No warships?" General Wei sounded surprised. "How do they defend their space?" "They don't," Yuna said simply. "A few armed stations orbit their world, some defensive satellites. Nothing that could threaten a council vessel." The chamber fell silent. Every species the council had ever encountered maintained some kind of space defense. Even the most primitive civilizations built orbital weapons platforms or armed their cargo ships. The idea of a spacefaring species with no military vessels was strange. "Perhaps they are truly peaceful," suggested Ambassador Hana, the council's chief diplomat. "Some species evolve beyond the need for warfare," Admiral Quan snorted. "Or they are too primitive to understand the dangers of space. Either way, they will learn quickly enough." Council Leader Day stood up. The ancient alien's movement silenced all conversation. When he spoke, his words carried the authority of the most powerful government in the galaxy. "The decision is simple," Day announced. "This species called humans will receive our standard offer, join the Galactic Council, and enjoy the benefits of our protection and technology, refuse, and face the consequences. Who will deliver this message?" Several hands rose around the table. Delivering ultimatums to primitive species was considered easy duty. The risks were minimal, and the glory was certain when the aliens inevitably surrendered. Captain Hyon raised his hand. He commanded a heavy cruiser in Admiral Quan's fleet. His ship, the Pride of Nexus, was one of the most advanced vessels in Council space. "I volunteer for this mission, Council Leader." Day nodded approval. "Captain Hyon will travel to Earth and deliver our message. Standard terms apply. The humans will have 72 hours to decide. If they choose wisely, they will become junior members of the Council. If they choose poorly..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Captain Hyon bowed formally. "It will be my honor to bring these humans into the Council one way or another." Admiral Quan watched the young captain with amusement. Hyon was eager for promotion and glory. Delivering ultimatums to helpless primitives was a safe way to earn recognition. The human species would probably surrender the moment they saw a Council warship. Most species did. "When will you depart?" Day asked. "My ship is already prepared," Hyon replied. "We can leave within the hour." "Excellent." Council dismissed. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, Admiral Quan approached Captain Hyon. The young officer looked excited about his mission. Quan remembered feeling the same way during his first contact mission 40 years ago. "Remember, Captain," Quan said quietly, "primitive species sometimes react unpredictably to first contact. Stay alert and follow protocol." Hyon nodded confidently. "Of course, Admiral. But how much trouble could a species with chemical rockets possibly cause?" Admiral Quan smiled, but something felt wrong. In 40 years of commanding the Draconian fleet, he had learned to trust his instincts. Usually first contact missions were routine. Show overwhelming force, make reasonable demands, accept surrender. Simple and clean. But something about this mission bothered him. Maybe it was the humans' complete lack of space defenses. Maybe it was their primitive technology combined with their apparent knowledge of alien life. Most species either developed quickly or stayed planet-bound. The humans seemed caught in between. As Captain Hyon left to prepare his ship, Admiral Kwan made a mental note to keep the fleet ready. If the humans proved troublesome, they would learn quickly why the Galactic Council had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. The crystal towers of Nexus Prime gleamed in the fading light as Captain Hyon's ship rose into the purple sky, heading for a small blue world called Earth. The Pride of Nexus dropped out of hyperspace near Earth's moon with a flash of blue light. Captain Hyon stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking at the small blue planet through the main viewer. The ship stretched 3 kilometers, from bow to stern, its dark hull covered in weapon emplacements and sensor arrays. "Scan the system," Hyon ordered his crew. "I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." The ship's sensors swept through space around Earth. Data streams filled the bridge displays showing orbital stations, satellites, and small spacecraft moving between Earth and its moon. Everything looked exactly as primitive as the Council's reports had indicated. "Captain," his science officer reported, "I'm detecting several space stations in orbit around the planet. Basic construction, primitive fusion reactors, no weapon signatures that our sensors can identify." Hyon nodded. "Any warships?" "Negative, sir. Some armed stations, but nothing that could threaten us. A few small patrol craft with basic missiles. Their most advanced vessels appear to be cargo ships and research stations." "Excellent. Open a communication channel to the planet." The communications officer worked at his station for several minutes. "Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on multiple frequencies." Hyon straightened his uniform and activated the main viewer. His image would now be transmitted to every radio telescope and communication satellite around Earth. First contact was always an important moment in a species' history. Most civilizations remembered it forever. "Greetings to the species known as humans," Hyon began in his most formal voice. "I am Captain Hyon of the Galactic Council vessel Pride of Nexus. You are about to receive the greatest honor in your species' history." On Earth, Admiral Junho sat in the command center of the Earth Defense Fleet's main base. Alarms had been sounding for the past hour as tracking stations detected the alien ship's arrival. The massive vessel hung near Earth's moon like a dark mountain in space. "Are you recording this?" Junho asked his communications team. "Yes, sir. Every word." The alien captain continued his message. "The Galactic Council extends an invitation for humanity to join our great civilization. For 3,000 years, we have brought peace and prosperity to countless worlds. Your species will benefit greatly from our advanced technology and protection." Junho studied the alien on the screen. The creature looked almost human, but with scales instead of skin and large yellow eyes. The bridge behind him was clearly advanced technology, far beyond anything Earth possessed. "However," the alien continued, "membership in the Council requires complete loyalty and obedience to our laws. Your planet will become a protectorate under Council authority. Your governments will be dissolved and replaced with Council administrators. Your military forces will be disbanded and integrated into our fleet." The command center fell silent. Every person in the room understood what they were hearing. This was not an invitation. It was a demand for surrender. "You have 72 hours to consider our generous offer," Captain Hyon concluded. "At the end of that time, you will transmit your acceptance to this vessel. Failure to comply will result in consequences you cannot imagine. This message will not be repeated." The transmission ended. Admiral Junho stared at the blank screen for a long moment before turning to his staff. "Get me the President immediately." 30 minutes later, President So-young sat at the head of a table in the Emergency Operations Center beneath the Capitol. Around her, the most important leaders on Earth studied intelligence reports about the alien vessel. "Options?" the President asked simply. Defense Minister Bayom spoke first. "Our analysis confirms what we already suspected. Their ship is far more advanced than anything in our fleet. 3 kilometers long, heavily armed, and protected by energy shields we barely understand." "Could we destroy it?" asked General Nam, head of the Earth Defense Forces. "Possibly," Bayom admitted, "if we used everything we have and got very lucky. But Captain Hyon mentioned consequences we cannot imagine. This ship is probably just the beginning." Foreign Minister Young-ho leaned forward. "Have we tried to communicate with them again?" Admiral Junho shook his head. "The alien ship responds to hails, but only repeats the same message. 72 hours to surrender or face destruction." President So-young studied the reports in front of her. Earth's defenses were impressive by human standards. Orbital weapons platforms, armed space stations, and a growing fleet of warships protected the planet. But everything had been designed to fight other humans, not aliens with technology thousands of years more advanced. "What do we know about this Galactic Council?" she asked. Intelligence Director Hye-jin consulted her datapad. "Very little. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected radio signals from other star systems for decades. Most appear to be routine communications from established civilizations. The Council seems to control a significant portion of the galaxy." "And they've done this before?" "Almost certainly. The aliens' speech pattern suggests this is routine for them. They've probably conquered hundreds of worlds using the same approach." President So-young walked to the window overlooking the city. Millions of people went about their daily lives, unaware that their world faced a choice between slavery and destruction. The weight of their future rested on the decisions made in this room. "Military assessment?" she asked without turning around. "Admiral," Junho cleared his throat. "If we fight, we'll lose. Their technology is clearly superior. One ship defeated our tracking systems just by arriving. We had no idea they were coming until they appeared. But maybe losing isn't the point. Maybe showing them we won't be easily conquered is more important than winning." Defense Minister Bayom nodded agreement. "Earth has been preparing for this day for 50 years. Every war game, every training exercise, every new weapons system was designed with alien contact in mind. We always knew they might not be friendly." President So-young turned back to the table. "Recommendations?" The room fell silent for a long moment. Finally, Admiral Junho spoke. "I recommend we refuse their demands, Madam President. Not because we can win, but because we're human. We don't kneel to anyone." One by one, the other leaders around the table nodded agreement. Foreign Minister Young-ho was the last to speak. "History will remember what we do in the next 72 hours. I'd rather be remembered as brave fools than smart cowards." President So-young looked around the table at each person. These were the leaders who would guide humanity through its greatest crisis. Their choice would echo through history for generations. "Draft. A response," she ordered. "Keep it simple and polite. Tell Captain Hyon that Earth appreciates the Council's offer, but must respectfully decline." As her staff worked to prepare the message, President So-young wondered if she had just signed humanity's death warrant. The aliens had offered membership in a galactic civilization. Instead, Earth was choosing war with forces they didn't understand. But Some choices were more important than survival. Some principles were worth dying for. Captain Hyon waited on his bridge as the 72-hour deadline approached. He expected the humans to surrender early, as most species did. The sight of a council warship was usually enough to break any resistance. Only the most foolish civilizations waited until the last moment. When the human response finally came, Captain Hyon activated the communication channel, expecting to receive humanity's formal surrender. Instead, a middle-aged human woman appeared on his screen. "Captain Hyon," President So Young said calmly, "Earth has considered your offer carefully. We appreciate the opportunity to join your galactic community. However, we must respectfully decline. Humanity chooses to remain independent." The transmission ended. Captain Hyon stared at the blank screen in shock. In 3,000 years of council expansion, no species had ever refused membership after seeing a warship. The humans had just done the impossible. They had said no. Captain Hyon stood frozen on his bridge for several minutes after the human transmission ended. His crew watched nervously as their captain processed what had just happened. No species in recorded council history had ever refused membership. "After seeing a warship?" "Sir?" his first officer asked quietly. "Your orders?" He shook himself out of his shock. Protocol was clear. If a species refused the council's generous offer, they faced the consequences. He walked to his command chair and activated the quantum beacon. "Send the signal," he ordered. "Request immediate deployment of the first punitive armada." The beacon sent its message across space faster than light itself. Within hours, Admiral Quan would receive word that the humans had chosen destruction over wisdom. The Draconian fleet would come to teach Earth why the Galactic Council had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. Admiral Quan received the signal while reviewing fleet reports in his private quarters aboard the flagship Nexus destroyer. The message was brief, but shocking. The humans had refused membership. Captain Hyon requested Armada-level support to complete the mission. Quan read the message 3 times before believing it. In his 40 years of service, only twice had species been foolish enough to require Armada deployment. Both civilizations no longer existed. "Communications!" Quan shouted. "Send orders to all fleet commanders. Full Armada deployment to the Sol system. We leave immediately." 200 of the Council's most advanced warships prepared for hyperspace jump. The first punitive armada represented enough firepower to conquer entire star systems. Dreadnoughts, battlecruisers, destroyers, and support vessels formed into battle formation. Each ship was a masterpiece of Council engineering. Energy shields that could deflect asteroid impacts. Weapons that could crack planet surfaces. Sensors that could track individual spacecraft across light years of space. Together, they formed an unstoppable force. Admiral Quan took his position on the bridge of the Nexus destroyer. Around him, his crew prepared for what should be a simple mission. Primitive civilizations always surrendered when faced with an entire armada. The sight of 200 warships was enough to break any resistance. "All ships report ready for jump," his navigation officer announced. "Take us to Earth," Quan ordered. "Let's end this quickly." Space twisted around the Armada as 200 ships vanished into hyperspace. They would arrive at Earth within hours, ready to accept humanity's surrender or destroy them completely. On Earth, Admiral Junho watched the alien ship through his command center's main display. The Pride of Nexus had been silent since receiving Earth's refusal. Sensors showed increased activity aboard the vessel, but no threatening moves toward the planet. "Something's happening," reported his sensor operator. "Energy readings from the alien ship are spiking." Before Junho could respond, space near Earth's moon exploded with light. Ship after ship appeared in flashes of blue energy. Within minutes, 200 alien warships surrounded Earth in a loose sphere formation. The command center fell silent as staff members counted the new arrivals. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything in Earth's fleet. Together, they represented a military force that could destroy entire worlds. "My God," whispered Intelligence Director Haijin. "How many ships is that?" 212 confirmed contacts, the sensor operator replied with a shaking voice. "Multiple ship classes. The largest vessels are over 4 kilometers long." Admiral Junho studied the tactical display showing the alien fleet's positions. They had arranged themselves to cover every possible escape route from Earth. No human ship could leave the system without facing overwhelming firepower. "Get me the president," Junho ordered. President So Young arrived at the command center within 30 minutes. She looked tired, but determined as she studied the reports of the alien fleet. 200 ships waited in Earth space, each one capable of destroying human civilization. "Recommendations?" she asked Admiral Junho. "Honestly, surrender. We can't fight that many ships with what we have. Our entire fleet is maybe 50 vessels. Most are patrol ships and cargo haulers with basic weapons." President So Young nodded slowly. The numbers were clear. Earth faced impossible odds against an enemy with superior technology and overwhelming numbers. Any rational leader would negotiate terms for humanity's surrender. What would surrender look like? She asked. Intelligence Director Haijin consulted her files. Based on the original message, Earth would become a council protectorate. Our governments would be dissolved. Military forces disbanded. The planet would be administered by alien officials. Slavery, President So Young said simply. Comfortable. Slavery, Haijin admitted. But slavery nonetheless. The command center's communication system activated suddenly. Captain Hyon's face appeared on the main screen, but now Admiral Kwan stood beside him. The senior alien officer looked angry and impatient. "Humans of Earth," Admiral Kwan announced. "I am Admiral Kwan of the Galactic Council's first punitive Armada. You have made a grave error in refusing our generous offer of membership." President So Young stepped forward to face the screen. "Admiral Kwan, I am President So Young of Earth. We appreciate your concern, but our answer remains the same. Humanity chooses independence." Admiral Kwan's yellow eyes widened in surprise. He had expected immediate surrender when the humans saw his armada. Instead, this primitive female continued to defy the Council's authority. "You face 200 of our most advanced warships," Kwan said slowly, as if speaking to a child. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Your small fleet cannot protect you. Surrender now and your species will be spared. And if we refuse, then Earth will burn as an example to other worlds. No species defies the Galactic Council." President So Young looked around the command center at her advisors and military leaders. Each face showed the same mixture of fear and determination. They all knew what came next. "Admiral Kwan," she said formally, "Earth respectfully declines your offer. We will defend our world." The transmission ended. President So Young turned to Admiral Junho. "How long before they attack?" "Soon," Junho replied. "They'll want to end this quickly and decisively. Then we should prepare, alert all defense stations, activate the orbital platforms. And Admiral?" "Yes, Madam President?" Send a message to all Earth Fleet commanders. Tell them today we find out what humans are really made of. Admiral Kwan stared at the blank communication screen in complete disbelief. The humans continued to refuse surrender even when facing an entire armada. Their defiance made no sense. Any rational species would have begged for mercy by now. Admiral, Captain Hyon said carefully, perhaps the humans don't understand the situation. Maybe their translation systems are malfunctioning? Kwan shook his head. No, Captain. They understand perfectly. They're choosing to fight us. But that's impossible, sir. Their technology is primitive. Their fleet is tiny. Fighting us is suicide. Yes, it is, Kwan agreed. Which makes me wonder what we're missing. He turned to his sensor operator. Full system scan. I want to know the position of every human ship and space station. Map their defensive positions. Yes, sir. Scanning now. The Pride of Nexus and her sister ships began detailed scans of Earth's solar system. Their advanced sensors could detect individual spacecraft at extreme range. If the humans had hidden weapons or reinforcements, the Council fleet would find them. Scan complete, Admiral, the sensor operator reported. Confirmed human forces. 47 armed spacecraft mostly, small patrol vessels. 18 orbital weapons platforms around Earth. 6 space stations with defensive capabilities. No hidden fleets detected. Admiral Kwan studied the tactical data. The humans had respectable defenses for a single-planet civilization, but nothing that could threaten his armada. 200 Council warships against 50 human vessels and some orbital platforms. The outcome was certain. All ships, Kwan broadcast to his fleet, prepare for combat operations. Target military installations first. Minimize civilian casualties if possible. We want survivors to tell others what happens when the Council is defied. Across the Armada, weapon systems activated and shields powered up. Council warships moved into attack formation, preparing to demonstrate why no species had successfully resisted them for 3,000 years. Admiral Kwan gave his final order, begin the attack. Admiral Junho stood in the Earth Defense Fleet Command Center, watching the alien armada approach on his tactical display. 200 warships moved toward Earth in perfect formation, their weapon systems charging for the attack. Around him, his staff worked frantically at their stations, preparing humanity's defenses for the coming battle. Sir, his communications officer reported, all Earth Fleet units are in position and awaiting orders. Junho nodded but kept his eyes on the display. The alien ships were magnificent, he had to admit. Sleek and deadly, each one represented technology, far beyond human capabilities. Under normal circumstances, this would be a massacre. But these were not normal circumstances. Admiral, President So-Young's voice came through the secure channel. The Council fleet is beginning their attack run. I see them, Madam President. Are you certain about this? Do it, Admiral. Show them what Earth is really capable of. Junho took a deep breath and picked up his fleet communicator. For 50 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. Generations of engineers, scientists, and military planners had worked toward this single day. Now, it was time to reveal their greatest secret. All units, Admiral Junho announced, this is Fleet Command. Execute Protocol 7. Decloak all vessels. Repeat, decloak all vessels. On Admiral Kwan's flagship, the sensor operator suddenly screamed in alarm. Admiral! Massive energy signatures appearing throughout the system! Kwan spun toward the sensor station. What are you talking about? Sir, I'm reading. This can't be right. Thousands of new contacts appearing everywhere! The main display flickered and updated. Where moments before it had shown empty space around Earth, Now it blazed with thousands of contact symbols. Human warships appeared behind asteroids, in planetary shadows, and seemingly from nowhere at all. "That's impossible," Captain Hyan whispered. "Where did they come from?" Admiral Kwan stared in shock as more ships continued to appear. The tactical display showed human vessels throughout the entire solar system. Behind Earth's moon, near the asteroid belt, in the shadow of gas giant planets, and floating in what had seemed like empty space. Stealth technology, Kwan realized. They've been hiding their fleet. The sensor operator's voice shook as he gave his report. "Admiral, current count shows over 3,000 human vessels, multiple ship classes. The largest are comparable in size to our dreadnoughts." Kwan felt cold fear for the first time in decades. 3,000 ships. The humans had built a fleet that outnumbered his Armada 15-1. More importantly, they had kept it completely hidden until the moment of attack. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our sensors are the most advanced in the galaxy." "Unknown, sir. Their stealth systems appear to use principles we don't understand." On Earth, Admiral Junho watched with satisfaction as his hidden fleet revealed itself. Operation Sleeping Dragon had taken 30 years to complete. 3,000 warships built in secret facilities throughout the solar system, each vessel equipped with experimental stealth technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. "Fleet status report," he ordered. "All ships have successfully decloaked," his operations officer replied. "First Fleet is moving to attack position. Second and Third Fleets are flanking the enemy formation. Fourth through Eighth Fleets are cutting off their retreat routes." Junho nodded. The plan was working perfectly. Let the aliens think humanity was defenseless. Draw them into the system where Earth's superior numbers could be brought to bear. The Council had walked into the largest trap in military history. "Open a channel to the alien flagship," Junho ordered. Admiral Kwan's shocked face appeared on the communication screen. The alien admiral looked like he had seen a ghost. His yellow eyes were wide with disbelief and growing fear. "Admiral Kwan," Junho said politely. "I am Admiral Junho of the Earth Defense Fleet. Welcome to our solar system." "How?" Kwan started, then stopped. "How many ships do you have?" "Enough," Junho replied simply. "Would you like to reconsider your attack?" Admiral Kwan studied his tactical display again. The human fleet continued to grow as more vessels decloaked. His 200 ships now faced over 3,000 enemy vessels. The humans had achieved complete tactical surprise, but Council ships were still superior in technology and firepower. Each of his vessels could probably destroy several human ships before being defeated. The battle was not lost yet. "Human Admiral," Kwan said formally, "your numbers are impressive, but Council technology remains superior. We will complete our mission." "I understand," Junho replied. "In that case, let me show you something else." He nodded to his weapons officer. "Deploy the Soul's Fury." Space near Earth's moon rippled like water. Slowly, an enormous shape became visible as advanced camouflage systems deactivated. A massive dreadnought appeared, larger than any ship, in the Council fleet. The vessel's dark hull bristled with weapon turrets and defensive systems. "Admiral Kwan," Junho continued, "meet the EHDS Soul's Fury, our newest and most advanced warship, 7 kilometers long and equipped with experimental weapons systems. She's been waiting for this moment." Captain Subin stood on the bridge of the Soul's Fury, watching the alien fleet through her main viewer. Her ship was humanity's crown jewel, incorporating 50 years of advanced research and development. Every system had been designed specifically for fighting advanced alien civilizations. "Captain," her weapons officer reported, "all systems are ready. Quantum torpedoes loaded, plasma cannons charged, energy shields at maximum." Subin nodded. The Soul's fury represented everything humanity had learned about space warfare. Her weapons could penetrate any known energy shield. Her defenses could withstand direct hits from planet-cracking weapons. She was built to fight gods and win. "Take us into the enemy formation," Subin ordered. "Let's show them how humans fight." Admiral Kwan watched in growing horror as the massive human dreadnought advanced toward his fleet. The ship was clearly more advanced than anything the Council had built. Its design suggested knowledge of physics and engineering that should have been impossible for such a young civilization. "All ships," Kwan broadcast. "Concentrate fire on the large human vessel. Destroy it immediately." 50 Council warships turned their weapons toward the Soul's fury. Energy beams and missile salvos struck the human dreadnought from all directions. The attack would have vaporized any known warship. Instead, the Soul's fury's shields flared bright blue and held. The massive ship continued its advance without slowing. When it reached optimal range, it returned fire. The human weapons were unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Quantum torpedoes that ignored energy shields and struck directly at target. Hulls, plasma cannons that burned through armor like paper. Within minutes, 12 Council ships were destroyed and 6 more badly damaged. "Impossible," Admiral Kwan whispered. "Their technology, it's more advanced than ours." Captain Hyon stared at his sensor readings in disbelief. "Admiral, the human weapons are operating on principles our science doesn't recognize. Their energy output is off our charts." Kwan realized the terrible truth. The humans had not just been hiding their fleet. They had been hiding their technological capabilities. This was not a primitive civilization with chemical rockets. This was an advanced military power that had been deliberately concealing its strength. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "the human admiral is requesting another channel. Put him through." Admiral Junho appeared on the screen again. Behind him, Kwan could see the human command center buzzing with activity as staff members coordinated the movements of thousands of warships. "Admiral Kwan," Junho said calmly, "I'm going to make you an offer. Order your fleet to surrender immediately. Your ships will be escorted out of our system and allowed to return to Council space. Your crews will not be harmed." "And if I refuse?" Junho's expression hardened. "Then you'll discover why humanity has been preparing for this war for 50 years. Your choice, Admiral." Admiral Kwan looked around his bridge at his shocked and frightened crew. Outside, 3,000 human warships waited for his answer. The most powerful military force he had ever seen surrounded his armada like wolves around sheep. For the first time in his career, Admiral Kwan faced a choice between surrender and certain destruction. The humans had been playing a much longer game than anyone imagined. Admiral Kwan stared at the tactical display showing 3,000 human warships surrounding his armada. The offer of surrender hung in the air like a loaded weapon. In 40 years of commanding the Draconian fleet, he had never faced a situation like this. "Admiral?" Captain Hyon asked quietly. "Your orders?" Kwan's mind raced through his options. Surrender would mean admitting that the mighty Galactic Council had been defeated by a species they considered primitive. The humiliation would destroy his career and shame the entire fleet. But fighting seemed like suicide against such overwhelming odds. "Sir," his weapons officer interrupted. "Human ships are taking attack positions. They're surrounding us completely." Kwan made his choice. Council honor demanded that he fight, even against impossible odds. Perhaps his ship's superior technology could still achieve victory. At minimum, he could make the humans pay dearly for their defiance. All ships, Admiral Quan broadcast to his fleet, ignore the human ultimatum. Attack Formation Delta. Target their command ships first. Admiral Junho's voice came through the communication channel. I'm going to assume that's your answer. Very well. Earth Fleet, you are free to engage. The space around Earth's moon erupted in violence as thousands of ships opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams, missiles, and exotic weapons crisscrossed the void in a deadly light show visible. From Earth's surface, Captain Subin commanded the Soul's Fury from the center of the battle. Her massive dreadnought fought like a predator among prey, her advanced weapons tearing through Council ships with devastating efficiency. Target the enemy flagship, Subin ordered her weapons officer. Quantum torpedoes full spread. 6 torpedoes launched from the Soul's Fury, each one carrying enough energy to crack a small moon. They punched through the Nexus destroyers, shields like they weren't there, and slammed into the hull. The massive Council warship shuddered under the impact but held together. Impressive, Subin admitted. They build them tough. All weapons concentrated fire on that ship. The Soul's Fury's entire armament focused on Admiral Quan's flagship. Plasma cannons burned through armor plating, while particle beams overloaded the ship's energy systems. Within minutes, the Nexus destroyer was crippled and drifting. Admiral Quan picked himself up from the deck of his ruined bridge. Emergency lights flickered in the smoke-filled air. Half his crew was dead or wounded. His magnificent flagship was dying around him. "Damage report," he gasped. "Engines offline," his engineer reported through the comm system. "Weapons down to 30%. Life support failing. We need to evacuate, Admiral." Quan looked at his tactical display. The battle had been raging for only 2 hours, but the Council fleet was already being destroyed. Human ships fought with a precision and savagery that shocked him. They attacked in coordinated groups, concentrating their fire to overwhelm individual targets. More importantly, human technology was proving superior to Council equipment. Their weapons penetrated shields easily. Their own defenses absorbed punishment that should have destroyed them. Ship after ship in his armada was being systematically eliminated. "Sir," Captain Hyon called from his own damaged vessel. "I'm reading. Massive human reinforcements approaching from the asteroid belt." Quan's blood ran cold. More ships. The humans already outnumbered his fleet 15-1. How many vessels did they have? Admiral Junho watched the battle from his command center. With grim satisfaction, the Council fleet was being destroyed exactly as planned. Human ships fought with the confidence that came from superior preparation and technology. "Admiral," his operations officer reported, "Second and Third fleets have entered the combat zone. Enemy resistance is collapsing. Casualties? Light, sir. We've lost 18 ships. The enemy has lost over 100. Junho nodded. The battle was going better than expected. Council technology was advanced, but human engineers had spent 50 years studying alien ship designs captured from crashed probe ships and intercepted transmissions. They knew exactly how to fight Council vessels. "Sir," his communications officer announced, "enemy flagship is attempting to signal surrender. Put them through." Admiral Quan's battered face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, his bridge was a ruin of smoking consoles and emergency lighting. The proud alien admiral looked broken and defeated. "Admiral Junho," Quan said weakly, I request terms for surrender." "Unconditional surrender only," Junho replied firmly. All Council ships will power down weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that attempts to escape will be destroyed. Quan closed his eyes for a moment. His fleet was shattered. Of 200 ships, fewer than 50 remained in fighting condition. The humans had won a complete victory against supposedly superior forces. "I accept your terms," Quan said quietly. "Sir," Captain Hyon's voice came through the communication channel. "We can't surrender. Council honor demands we fight to the end." "Captain," Quan replied sadly, "there is no honor in pointless sacrifice. The humans have defeated us completely. Order all ships to stand down." "Negative, Admiral. I'm taking my ship out of here. Some of us still remember what it means to serve the Council." Captain Hyon's vessel, the Pride of Nexus, suddenly accelerated, away from the battle area. The heavy cruiser's engines burned at full power as it tried to escape toward the edge of the solar system. "Human ships are pursuing," Quan's sensor operator reported. "Captain Hyon won't make it." Admiral Junho watched as 20 human destroyers chased the fleeing Council ship. The Pride of Nexus was fast, but human vessels had been designed for exactly this kind of pursuit. Within an hour, the fleeing ship was surrounded and destroyed when it refused to surrender. Captain Subin stood on the bridge of the Soul's Fury as Council ships throughout the battle area powered down their weapons. The first major space battle in human history was over. Earth had won a complete victory against the galaxy's most powerful military force. "Casualties?" she asked her tactical officer. 43 ships lost, ma'am. Minimal crew casualties, thanks to our escape pod protocols. The Council lost 178 ships." Subin nodded grimly. "Every human loss was painful, but the battle could have been much worse. Superior preparation and technology had carried the day." Admiral Quan sat in his damaged command chair as human boarding parties secured his ship. Young human soldiers in advanced combat armor moved through his vessel with professional efficiency. They treated the surviving Council crew with respect, providing medical aid and ensuring their safety. A human officer approached Quan's chair. The young woman wore the insignia of a captain and carried herself with quiet confidence. "Admiral Quan," she said politely. "I'm Captain Park. I'll be escorting you to our command ship for debriefing." "You speak our language well," Quan observed. "We've been studying Council transmissions for decades," Captain Park replied. "We know more about your civilization than you might think." As Quan was led from his ruined bridge, he reflected on the disaster that had befallen his fleet. The Council had underestimated humanity completely. These were not primitive barbarians. With chemical rockets, they were an advanced military civilization that had been preparing for galactic war. "Captain," Quan asked, "how long have your people been planning this?" "Since we first detected Council radio transmissions 60 years ago," Captain Park replied honestly. "We knew you existed. We knew you were militaristic. We prepared accordingly." "And your technology?" "Reverse engineered from crashed Council probe ships, combined with our own innovations. We've had a long time to study your weaknesses." Admiral, Quan realized the scope of humanity's deception. For 60 years, humans had been watching the Council while appearing primitive and harmless. They had learned Council technology, studied Council tactics, and prepared countermeasures for everything. The Battle of Luna was not humanity's first victory. It was the culmination of decades of careful planning and preparation. The Council had been defeated before the first shot was fired. As Captain Park led him toward the human command ship, Admiral Kwan wondered if the rest of the council was prepared for what was coming. Earth had just announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. The humans were no longer hiding. The crystal towers of Nexus Prime seemed dimmer as Council Leader Day received the impossible report. His ancient hands shook as he read the message for the third time. The first punitive armada was gone. 200 of the Council's finest warships, destroyed by primitive humans in a single battle. This must be a mistake, Day said to the messenger. Check the transmission again. The young communications officer bowed nervously. The message has been verified, Council Leader. Admiral Kwan himself sent the surrender notification before his capture. The human fleet numbered in the thousands. Chippy stood slowly from his throne, his aged body struggling with the weight of this disaster. In 3,000 years of Council rule, no armada had ever been defeated. The very concept was unthinkable. Summon the War Council immediately, he ordered. Every fleet admiral, every sector commander. They have 1 hour to reach Nexus Prime. Within the hour, the War Council assembled in the fortress chamber beneath the capital. Admiral Tae-ho entered first, his scarred face grim with knowledge of the crisis. Behind him came the other senior commanders, each representing fleets that had conquered star systems. Explain to me, Day demanded as the admirals took their seats, how a primitive species with chemical rockets destroyed an entire armada. Admiral Tae-ho consulted his datapad. According to Admiral Kwan's final transmission, the humans were not primitive. They possessed advanced stealth technology that concealed thousands of warships. Their weapons proved superior to our own. Superior? General Wei slammed his fist on the table. That's impossible. Council technology is the most advanced in the galaxy. Apparently not, Admiral Tae-ho replied calmly. Human quantum torpedoes penetrated our shields completely. Their plasma weapons cut through our armor like paper. Most disturbing. They seem to know exactly how to counter our tactical systems. Council Leader Day paced behind his chair, his mind struggling to process this information. How could we have been so wrong about their capabilities? Deception, Tae-ho answered. The humans deliberately appeared primitive while secretly building an advanced military force. They've been watching us for decades, studying our technology and tactics. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Council's expansion had always relied on overwhelming technological superiority. Species joined willingly or were easily conquered. But the humans had leveled the playing field through careful preparation and deception. What are their intentions? Asked Admiral Youngmin, commander of the Void Reaper fleet. Unknown, Tae-ho admitted. They released our surviving crews unharmed and allowed them to return to Council space. But they kept our ships and equipment for study. Day stopped pacing and fixed his ancient eyes on the assembled commanders. Recommendations? Negotiation, suggested Ambassador Hana. Perhaps we can reach some accommodation with this human species. They've proven they can defend themselves. Maybe we should recognize their independence. Absolutely not, General Wei growled. We cannot show weakness. If the humans are allowed to defy the Council, other species will follow their example. Our entire empire could collapse. Admiral Tae-ho nodded agreement. The General is right. Every species in our territory is watching to see how we respond. If we don't crush the humans completely, we'll face rebellions throughout the galaxy. Then, what do you propose? Day asked. Tae-ho stood and activated the chamber's holographic display. A map of Council space appeared showing the positions of every major fleet. 10 separate armadas were scattered across the galaxy, each protecting vital sectors. Operation Stellar Cleanse, Tejo announced. We deploy every available armada to the human system. 10 full fleets, over 2,000 ships. The largest military force in galactic history. The War Council studied the display in amazement. Such a force had never been assembled before. The combined firepower could sterilize entire star systems. Can we afford to pull fleets from every sector? Asked Admiral Jin Woo, the youngest member of the council. We have no choice, Tejo replied. This human threat must be eliminated permanently. If we fail, the council's authority will be broken forever. Admiral Jin Woo leaned forward to study the tactical display. What about the humans' apparent technological advantages? Numbers will overcome technology, Tejo stated confidently. They may have superior weapons, but they cannot have more than a few thousand ships. We will deploy over 2,000 of our finest vessels. Sheer firepower will carry the day. Council Leader Day examined the faces around the table. These were the Council's greatest military minds, the admirals who had conquered hundreds of worlds. If they believed overwhelming force was necessary, he would provide it. How long to assemble this fleet? Day asked. 72 hours, Tejo replied. Each armada will rendezvous at Nexus Prime before proceeding to the human system. And who will command this force? All eyes turned to Admiral Jin Woo. The young commander had never lost a battle in 15 years of service. His tactical innovations had revolutionized Council warfare. If anyone could defeat the humans, it was him. Admiral Jin Woo, Day announced formally. You will command Operation Stellar Cleanse. Your mission is simple. Destroy the human species completely. Leave no survivors. Make their world an example that will be remembered for 1,000 years. Jin Woo stood and bowed formally. It will be my honor, Council Leader. The humans will learn what happens when primitive species challenge the Council. Over the next 3 days, the greatest military force in galactic history assembled around Nexus Prime. The Crimson Armada arrived first, its red-hulled ships gleaming in the system's twin suns. The Voidbreakers followed, their black vessels seeming to absorb light itself. One by one, the Council's 10 greatest fleets gathered in formation. The Star Reapers with their planet-cracking dreadnoughts, the Iron Wolves with their pack-hunting tactics, the Crystal Guard with their energy-based weapons. Each armada represented the pinnacle of military evolution. Admiral Jin Woo stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Galactic Sovereign, watching the massive fleet assemble. The ship was 5 kilometers long and equipped with every advanced weapon system the Council possessed. It was built to command the largest military operations in galactic history. Fleet status report. Jin Woo ordered his staff. 2,112 ships ready for deployment, his operations officer replied. All armadas report full combat readiness. Jin Woo nodded with satisfaction. The combined fleet stretched across space like a metal constellation. Each ship was a masterpiece of Council engineering. Together, they represented unstoppable force. Admiral, his communications officer announced, Council Leader Day wishes to address the fleet. The ancient ruler's image appeared on screens throughout the massive fleet. His voice carried the authority of 3 millennia of galactic dominance. Warriors of the Council, Day began, you are about to undertake the most important mission in our history. A primitive species has dared to challenge our authority. They have destroyed our ships and humiliated our forces. The speech continued for several minutes, reminding each crew member why they fought. The Council brought peace and order to a chaotic galaxy. Species that refused to join threatened that stability and had to be eliminated. Show these humans the price of defiance, Day concluded. Destroy them completely. Let their fate be a warning to any species that considers challenging our rule. Admiral Jin Woo activated the fleet communication system. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. Destination, the Sol system. We will finish what the humans started. Space around Nexus Prime. Twisted as over 2,000 warships vanished into hyperspace. The largest military force in galactic history was heading toward Earth, intent on humanity's complete destruction. But Admiral Jin Woo felt uneasy as his ship raced through hyperspace. The humans had already proved they were more dangerous than expected. Their deception had been perfect. Their technology was advanced. Their tactics were effective. What other surprises were waiting in the Sol system? Jin Woo pushed down his doubts. 10 armadas represented overwhelming force. Whatever tricks the humans had, they could not stand against such massive firepower. The Council's authority would be restored, and the galaxy would remember why challenging them was futile. The greatest fleet in history raced toward its destiny. Admiral Jin Woo stood on the bridge of the Galactic Sovereign as his massive fleet prepared to drop out of hyperspace. Around him, his command staff monitored the approach to the Sol system. Never in galactic history had such a force been assembled for a single mission. 30 seconds to emergence, his navigation officer announced. Jin Woo studied the tactical display showing the positions of his 10 armadas. Each fleet had been assigned specific targets and approaches to ensure the humans could not escape or mount an effective defense. Over 2,000 warships would emerge simultaneously and overwhelm any resistance. All ships report ready, Admiral, his communications officer stated. Excellent. Begin emergence sequence. Space at the edge of the Sol system exploded with light as the Council's greatest fleet materialized from hyperspace. Ship after ship appeared in massive formations that stretched across millions of kilometers. The sight was magnificent and terrifying, representing the ultimate expression of galactic military power. Admiral Jin Woo watched his tactical display update as sensors mapped the human system. Earth hung like a blue jewel near the center, surrounded by its defensive installations. The human fleet was visible, though smaller than intelligence reports had suggested. Sensor analysis complete, his science officer reported. Confirmed. Human forces, approximately 4,000 vessels of various classes. Multiple orbital defense platforms around Earth. No sign of reinforcements. Jin Woo nodded with satisfaction. The humans had rebuilt their fleet after the previous battle, but they still faced impossible odds. 2,000 council ships against 4,000 human vessels was acceptable, especially given the Council's superior individual firepower. Open a communication channel to Earth, Jin Woo ordered. Admiral Junho appeared on the main screen, standing in what was clearly the human fleet's command center. The man looked calm, despite facing the largest military force in galactic history. Either he was very brave or very foolish. Admiral Jin Woo, Junho said politely. Welcome to our solar system, though I notice you brought more friends this time. Admiral. Junho, Jin Woo replied formally. I am Admiral Jin Woo, Supreme Commander of the Council's combined fleet. You face 10 armadas comprising over 2,000 warships. This is your final opportunity to surrender. I appreciate the offer, Junho said, but Earth's answer remains the same. We choose to fight. Jin Woo had expected this response, but the humans' calm confidence was unsettling. Any rational commander facing such overwhelming odds should be negotiating surrender terms, not choosing battle. Your courage is admirable, but pointless, Jin Woo stated. Our combined firepower could destroy planets. Your fleet will be eliminated within hours. Perhaps, Junho admitted. But there's something you should know about humans, Admiral. We don't like bullies. The communication ended. Jin Woo stared at the blank screen for a moment, puzzled by the human's attitude. Then he turned to his fleet commanders. All armadas, begin the advance. Maintain formation discipline. Destroy any human vessel that offers resistance. The massive Council fleet began moving toward Earth in a formation designed to crush any opposition. 10 armadas spread across space like the fingers of a closing fist, each one capable of conquering entire star systems. Admiral Junho watched the alien fleet's approach from his command center. The sight was impressive, he had to admit. Over 2,000 advanced warships moving in perfect coordination. The Council had committed everything to humanity's destruction. Admiral, President So Young's voice came through the secure channel. Are you certain about this? As certain as I can be, Madam President. We've prepared for this moment for 60 years. Today we find out if it was enough. And if it's not? Junho looked around his command center at the dedicated men and women who had spent their lives preparing for this battle. Then at least the galaxy will know that humans don't surrender easily. Sir, his communications officer announced, all fleet commanders are requesting orders. Junho picked up his fleet communicator and broadcast to every human ship in the solar system. All units, this is Admiral Junho. Today we face the greatest military force in galactic history. They come to destroy our world and enslave our people. But they have made one critical mistake. He paused, watching the Council fleet continue its approach on his tactical display. They think they know what they're fighting. They think 4,000. Ships is all we have. They think we're alone out here. Junho smiled grimly. It's time to show them how wrong they are. All units, execute Defense Protocol Omega. Across the solar system, space began to change. Admiral Jin Woo watched in growing amazement as his sensors detected massive energy signatures appearing throughout the system. Ships materialized from what had seemed like empty space. Huge vessels emerged from behind planets and asteroids. Sir, his sensor operator called out in shock. I'm reading massive fleet formations appearing throughout the system. Thousands of additional contacts. Jin Woo rushed to the sensor station. The tactical display showed an impossible sight. Human ships were appearing everywhere, far beyond the 4,000 vessels his scouts had detected. The numbers climbed rapidly, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. This is impossible, Jin Woo whispered. Where are they all coming from? Unknown, sir. They appear to be using advanced concealment technology. Our sensors can't determine their exact numbers. Admiral Su Jin stood on the bridge of her battle cruiser. As the 4th through 15th human battle groups decloaked around the gas giant Jupiter, 12 full battle groups had been hiding in the planet's sensor shadow, waiting for this moment. All ships, she broadcast. Execute flanking maneuver Alpha. Cut off the enemy's retreat to hyperspace. Thousands of human warships moved into position, behind the Council fleet. The aliens had advanced into the system expecting to face limited resistance. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by forces they hadn't known existed. Admiral Jin Woo stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The human fleet continued to grow as more ships revealed themselves. His sensors now showed over 15,000 human vessels, with more appearing every minute. "Admiral," his communications officer reported with a shaking voice. "The human commander is requesting another channel. Put him through." Admiral Junho appeared on the screen again, but now he was smiling. "Admiral Jinwoo, I thought you should know the current tactical situation. You're facing 17 full battle groups of the Earth Defense Fleet. Approximately 23,000 vessels. 23,000. Jinwoo could barely speak. "That's impossible." "Is it?" Junho asked. "Earth has been building ships for 60 years. Did you really think we only built 4,000? Jinwoo's mind reeled from the implications. The humans had concealed not just a few thousand ships, but entire fleets. The tactical situation had reversed completely. His 2,000 vessels now faced overwhelming odds. "But even so," Jinwoo said desperately, "Council technology remains superior. Our individual ships are more powerful than yours." "Are they?" Junho asked. "Let me introduce you to someone." The screen split to show another human officer. Admiral Sujin stood on a bridge that looked even more advanced than Junho's command center. "Admiral Jinwoo," she said formally. "I command the Seoul Defense Group. Our ships incorporate 70 years of research into Council technology. We know your capabilities better than you do." "Impossible," Jinwoo repeated, but his voice lacked conviction. "Tell me, Admiral," Junho continued, "what do you know about quantum resonance weapons, dimensional shield generators, temporal targeting systems?" Jinwoo felt cold fear as he recognized technologies that were theoretical even by Council standards. The humans were not just matching Council capabilities, they were exceeding them. "How?" he asked weakly. "We're very good students," Junho replied, "and we've had excellent teachers. Every probe ship you sent to our system, every transmission you broadcast, every piece of technology we could analyze, we learned from all of it." The truth hit Jinwoo like a physical blow. The humans had been studying the Council for decades. They had reverse-engineered captured technology and improved upon it. The Council's own success had provided the tools for their defeat. "Admiral Junho," Jinwoo said formally, "I request terms for the surrender of my fleet." "Denied," Junho replied simply. "You came here to destroy my world and exterminate my people. There will be no surrender. There will be no mercy. Today you learn what happens when you threaten Earth." The communication ended. Admiral Jinwoo looked around his bridge at his shocked and frightened crew. Outside, 23,000 human warships moved into attack position. The largest military force in galactic history was about to be destroyed by an enemy they had underestimated completely. "Sir," his weapons officer asked quietly, "your orders?" Jinwoo closed his eyes for a moment. The Council's greatest fleet faced annihilation, and he was responsible. But perhaps some good could come from this disaster. Perhaps the survivors could warn the Council about humanity's true capabilities. "All ships," he broadcast to his doomed fleet, "prepare for battle. Sell your lives dearly. Make sure the galaxy remembers how Council warriors die." The greatest space battle in galactic history was about to begin. The space around Earth erupted into the largest battle in galactic history. 23,000 human warships engaged 2,000 Council vessels in a conflict that could be seen from distant star systems. Energy beams crossed the void like deadly lightning, while missiles and torpedoes filled space with explosions. Admiral Jinwoo watched his tactical display with growing horror as his fleet was systematically destroyed. Human ships fought with precision and coordination that seemed impossible. Their weapons cut through Council defenses while their own shields absorbed damage that should have destroyed them. "Damage report," Jin Woo called over the noise of his bridge alarms. 60% of the fleet is destroyed or disabled, his operations officer replied. "The humans are using some kind of coordinated targeting system. They're concentrating fire to overwhelm our individual ships." Jin Woo nodded grimly. The human tactics were perfect. Instead of engaging in random combat, they attacked in carefully planned waves. Each Council ship faced multiple opponents working together to destroy it quickly and efficiently. Captain Subin commanded her battle group from the Soul's Fury as it carved through the Council formation like a blade. Her advanced dreadnought led 50 smaller vessels in a coordinated assault that had already destroyed 12 enemy ships. "Target the enemy command vessel," Subin ordered. "All weapons, concentrated fire." The Soul's Fury and her escorts focused their advanced weapons on Admiral Jin Woo's flagship. Quantum torpedoes and plasma beams struck the massive ship from multiple directions. The Galactic Sovereign's shields flared and failed under the concentrated assault. Admiral Jin Woo felt his ship shudder as human weapons tore through the hull. Emergency systems activated throughout the vessel as critical systems failed. The pride of the Council fleet was dying around him. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "Admiral Su Jin is requesting surrender again. Put her through." Admiral Su Jin appeared on his cracked and flickering main screen. Behind her, the Advanced Human Command Center showed the tactical situation clearly. The Council fleet was being annihilated. "Admiral Jin Woo," Su Jin said formally, "your fleet is destroyed. Order your remaining ships to surrender, and we will spare your crews." Jin Woo looked at his tactical display one final time. Of over 2,000 ships, fewer than 300 remained in fighting condition. The humans had achieved a victory so complete it defied belief. "I surrender," Jin Woo said quietly. "All ships, stand down weapons and prepare to be boarded." The battle ended as suddenly as it had begun. Throughout the solar system, the surviving Council ships powered down their weapons and waited for human boarding parties. The greatest military force in galactic history had been defeated in less than 6 hours. Admiral Junho stood in his command center, watching the aftermath of humanity's greatest victory. Around him, his staff coordinated rescue operations and prisoner processing. The battle was over, but the work of dealing with its consequences was just beginning. "Casualty report," Junho requested. "Minimal losses, sir," his operations officer replied. "We lost 127 ships. The enemy lost over 1,700 vessels." Junho nodded with satisfaction. Human tactics and technology had, carried the day against overwhelming odds. But more importantly, Earth had sent a message to the galaxy that could not be ignored. "Sir," his communications officer announced, "we're receiving transmissions from throughout Council space. Multiple species are requesting communication with Earth." "Patch me through to the first one." The screen activated to show an alien creature Junho had never seen before. The being had gray skin and large black eyes that seemed filled with hope. "Human Admiral," the alien said in broken Council language. "I am Governor Tae Min of the Nexari people. We have been slaves of the Council for 200 years. Is it true that you have defeated their fleets?" "It's true," Junho confirmed. "The Council's military power has been broken." "Then we are free?" Taemin asked, tears streaming down his alien face. "You are free," Junho said simply. Similar messages came from dozens of species throughout Council space. The news of humanity's victory was spreading faster than light itself through quantum communication networks. Oppressed peoples everywhere were learning that the mighty Galactic Council could be defeated. President So Young arrived at the command center as reports continued to flood in from across the galaxy. She looked tired but relieved as she studied the tactical displays showing the aftermath of the battle. "Status report?" she asked Admiral Junho. "Complete victory, Madam President. The Council's fleets are destroyed. We have over 8,000 prisoners, including most of their senior commanders." And the political situation? Changing rapidly. Half the Council's member species are declaring independence. Their empire is collapsing. President So Young walked to the main display showing Earth surrounded by the debris of the greatest space battle in history. Thousands of human ships patrolled the solar system, ensuring no threats remained. "What happens now?" she asked. Admiral Junho considered the question carefully. "Now we find out what kind of galactic neighbors we want to be." 6 months later, Admiral Junho stood on the observation deck of his flagship as it orbited Nexus Prime. The crystal towers that had once symbolized Council power now flew the flags of the new Galactic Federation. Representatives from hundreds of species worked together in the halls where the Council had once ruled through fear. "Admiral," Captain Subin approached from behind. "The former Council leader Day is ready for his final interview." Junho nodded and followed her to the conference room, where the ancient alien sat in simple clothing. The once mighty ruler looked small and frail without his symbols of office. "Council Leader Day," Junho said formally as he took his seat. "Do you understand the charges against you?" "Crimes against sentient beings," Day replied quietly. "Enslavement of free peoples, genocidal warfare. Yes, I understand. The Federation Council has voted. You will be exiled to a remote world where you can live out your remaining years in peace. Your cooperation in dismantling the old system has been noted." Day looked up with curious eyes. "Why show mercy? My people would have exterminated yours without hesitation." "Because we're not you," Junho replied simply. "Humans believe in justice, not revenge." As the old alien was led away, Junho reflected on the changes that had swept the galaxy. The Council's empire had collapsed within weeks of their military defeat. Species after species had declared independence and joined the new federation based on cooperation rather than domination. "Sir," Captain Subin said, "President So Young wants to see you in the main conference hall." Junho made his way through the transformed building to the great chamber where the Council had once met. Now it housed the Federation Assembly with representatives from over 300 species working together to build a better galaxy. President So Young stood at the central podium addressing the assembly. Her words were being translated into hundreds of languages and broadcast to billions of beings across known space. "The human species," she was saying, "never sought to rule the galaxy. We sought only to defend our world and our freedom. But we have learned that freedom is meaningless if it exists for only one species." The assembly listened in respectful silence as she outlined humanity's vision for the future. A galaxy where species chose their own paths, where cooperation replaced conquest, where strength was used to protect the weak rather than exploit them. "We offer our friendship to all peoples," President So Young concluded. "We offer our protection to those who need it. Most importantly, we offer hope that the future can be better than the past." The assembly erupted in applause from hundreds of different species. Junho watched with pride as his president outlined the principles that would guide the new galactic order. Later, as the assembly recessed, Junho found himself alone on the observation deck looking out at the stars. 6 months ago, Earth had been an unknown world on the galaxy's edge. Now humanity stood at the center of a new civilization spanning thousands of worlds. "Impressive view," Admiral Sujin said as she joined him, at the window. "It is," Junho agreed. "Hard to believe how much has changed. The Council ruled through fear for 3,000 years, Sujin observed. We defeated them in 6 hours. It makes you wonder what else is possible." Junho nodded thoughtfully. The galaxy was full of mysteries and challenges that humanity had yet to face. Ancient civilizations in distant regions, unexplored sectors beyond the galactic rim, technologies and wonders beyond imagination. "What's our next mission?" Sujin asked. "Exploration," Junho replied. "For the first time in galactic history, we have peace. Real peace. Now we can focus on discovery instead of conquest." As they watched, a Federation exploration fleet departed Nexus Prime for the galactic rim. Human and alien crews working together to push the boundaries of known space. The same spirit that had driven humanity to the stars now guided a galaxy toward a brighter future. Admiral Junho smiled as he thought about Earth's unexpected journey from insignificant world to galactic leader. The Council had seen humans as primitive barbarians with chemical rockets. They had been wrong about everything. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been their ships or technology. It was their refusal to